Please be aware we're attending this meeting. Our meetings are recorded for future viewing. We are privileged to gather on the traditional territory of the Kwakwaka'wakw. I'll call the meeting to order and ask if there are any additions to the agenda. Go ahead, Councillor Barron.
I would like to add the topic of fireworks, please.
Okay, so we'll add that under item 10A, new business. Any other additions to the agenda? Okay,
Can I just ask if this is a committee of the whole, so agenda items have to be passed at the next, and that are carried here need to be carried at a regular meeting, right?
correct. So would the
So could I just leave it for the regular meeting, which is coming next in that special meeting, and add it to that agenda?
Appropriate to have it in the special meeting, CAO?
Yeah, it depends if you want to have a committee of the whole discussion about it and make a recommendation, or whether you just, if there's already a motion available, then we don't have to have that open discussion about the fireworks. So we can do it in the committee of the whole, make a recommendation and ratify that at the special meeting.
Okay, then I would like to add an agenda item as well. And that would be, I would like to revisit, bring back to the table, and this is at the discretion of the mayor, the motion that was defeated at the last meeting to extend our electronic meeting capability for 6 months while we develop a new procedure.
Yeah, we're not going to bring that back to the table, but what we had decided upon, Councillor Mitchell, was that we were going to redo our procedure bylaw, and that will, can be done in the next meeting or two. Either way, an amendment can be made today to include all 3 councillors. Our procedure bylaw says only 2 can be in electronically. So that isn't going to change the meeting today, and we are on the path to be able to change our procedure bylaws so that others can attend. And we still need to find out what the province has. They're just meeting today, so we're hoping to get something back from the province as well as to what the guidelines are. So we are legislated by the province through the community charter, and unfortunately, even the legislature is going to 78, which you can agree or disagree with, but they're all back in the legislature. And so we can't just arbitrarily make something different, contrary to what our procedure bylaw says and the community charter.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to put it on the table so we could actually have a motion and then discuss it. But if that's not allowed, I understand that that's not allowed. We can't have a motion on the floor to bring it back to the table. That's your ruling. Thank you.
I need to. As corporate officer, I do need to let councillors know that are here electronically. This is not a properly convened meeting as per our procedure bylaw, as we do only allow 2 councillors to attend by electronic means. So I will have to make a note of that in the minutes.
And so
Do what you have to do.
One online will have to be an observer.
Well,
go ahead, Councillor Cole.
well, if I may, the person who voted against the 6 months extension should be an observer. We were allowed to do a 6 months extension, and we voted not to. So I'm not willing to be an observer.
So actually, we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to convene all together electronically at this point anymore. That's what the province has deemed.
We could have, had we made the decision at the last meeting, we could have. I asked that question, and the CAO said we could do a 6 months extension. We chose not to.
Go ahead, I'll defer to our CAO and then Councillor Barron.
A procedure bylaw, still for this meeting, would not have taken effect. It likely wouldn't have taken effect until mid-November, as a procedure bylaw needs a public notice of 2 weeks after the first 2 readings. So even for this meeting, the 6 month extension wouldn't have taken place.
Councillor Barron.
The province has directed that we're supposed to be in the building. The assumption is that everybody would be in the building. I changed that last night by saying I was going to be online. but the assumption is that everybody else would have been there. So I feel that I can be here electronically.
I guess since we're having this discussion, Mayor Wickstrom, if I may, I was under the impression that last meeting we had was the last meeting where we could make the motion and have first, second, and third readings to make that change at that meeting. That was what was discussed. Did I miss something?
No,
Yes.
it's only for bylaws or changes that do not require public consultation. So that procedure bylaw requires public consultation.
Yeah. So I guess we should be having this meeting maybe in the community hall or somewhere where there's adequate safety protocols in place. So if you want to kick somebody out, I guess that's your choice. I'm not going to choose to not be here.
Point of order, I'm not kicking anyone out. I'm simply saying, since the both of you like to talk about procedure and a properly convened meeting and had stepped out of one because you felt so, we're just saying that this is not, only two of you can be online. And Councillor Barron has a reason for not being able to attend here. And
With
then
all due
he's
respect, I have a
office.
reason as well.
I know, well, we're gonna do this, are we? This is unbelievable. Look, both of you have this thing about doing things procedurally correctly. This is a committee of the whole. We're just trying to do the business of the town. And now there's going to be an issue made about how we convene the meeting and how a vote went the last time. When we have this discussion in a public meeting, and I will find out which one it is, and I will send you the link, we all had agreed because of vaccinations that a date, which was September, we would all come back together again. And that's changed. And that's the reason why this wasn't looked at sooner. I don't know what to say.
Safety first.
We have barricades, we have masks, and we're double vaccinated. Please explain why we cannot gather in one room aside from a situation such as Councillor Barron's.
Go ahead, Councillor Cole.
I don't know that everyone's vaccinated in the room. Councillor Downey, you suggested that I have to show my vaccine passport to attend council meeting at the last meeting. I shouldn't have to do that. It's to my
I
health.
don't recall anybody saying that, Councillor Cole.
We're in a fourth wave. We have the opportunity to extend the meetings like we have been, and we didn't. So, I mean, if the
You know
chair,
what?
if the chair wants
Enough.
to,
I will get in my car and I will drive down to the town office. I'm going to leave the meeting. I'll be down there in like 4 minutes if that's what it takes to keep the peace. Thank you.
Okay, we'll adjourn the meeting till Councillor Barron comes.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Reconvene them, actually. Can I have a motion, please, to adopt the agenda as amended? Seconded. All those in favor? Yeah. Opposed, carried. We'll move on to item 7A. We've got bylaw enforcement on chickens and poultry within the town of Port McNeill. Move for discussion.
Move. Second.
So what we have before you is normally this would not come before council, but because right now we're in the midst of doing a zoning bylaw, a new zoning bylaw which may or may not include chickens. This is coming before you because of the fact that it could be 6 or 8 weeks and staff is looking for direction what to do in the interim regarding a complaint that was made with someone who has chickens at this present time. So what's your pleasure, council?
Move for discussion.
We did that already?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you have a comment to make?
Mayor Wickstrom, if I may. Having viewed a video of some existing illegal chicken situation, is there going to be a provision in this bylaw about the situation that we viewed in the video of runoff ending up in the neighbor's yard from the chickens? Are we going to be able to legislate that or make that a part of our bylaw?
I believe within this particular, I'm just reading right now, it's in front of me, sorry, because I have a mask on, I have glasses on, so. But in the proposed, that's we going in our new zoning bylaw, which is what could be suggested. It says right here on item 510H, coops and runs shall be maintained in clean condition and coops shall be kept free of obnoxious odors, substance, and vermin. And that manure shall be kept in an enclosed structure such as a compost bin, no more than 3 meters. Shall be stored at any time. So that is addressed in there.
Okay, so as long as we can help to control that, to make it so everybody ends up being happy at the end of the day.
Okay, Councillor Barron?
So if the bylaw was in place, this is non-conforming. Am I understanding correctly? The situation that's, if this was our bylaw, the current situation that we're asking for advice on does not conform to this.
Correct.
Number 5.
That's correct. There's still issues that need to be addressed.
And so you're asking us if you want, if we should be saying we have no chickens in our bylaw currently, so they have to not exist, or you're saying, should we attempt to enforce what we think could come in? Okay, I'm lost then.
Yeah, no, so the direction I'm looking for from council is, right now, there are chickens within the town of Port McNeill. They are illegally there or whatever, they're not allowed to be there. Now, as a bylaw enforcement officer, I've received a complaint. Under the normal circumstances, when I receive a complaint, it's incumbent on me to enforce that bylaw. Right? Now, with this particular complaint, the people that have the chickens, I'm in the position where if I go and tell them, you can't have chickens, get rid of your chickens, they get rid of their chickens, and then, 6 weeks from now, council says, oh, now you can have chickens. They've just got rid of all of their infrastructure, all of their chickens, and then, 6 weeks from now, they can bring them all back, which is, I don't think fair to them if this is something that council's contemplating. So what I'm looking for is, am I enforcing the current animal control bylaw? Or are we going to make an amendment to it to allow chickens, urban hens, the egg-laying chickens, until the new zoning bylaw comes in?
And also, because we have something within our animal control, that bylaw, it says it has to have a direct impact. And so that's why the others weren't acted upon, because it didn't have a direct impact. It was just somebody complaining from wherever. This one is complainants having a direct impact on.
So if we make an amendment to allow for these urban hens in the interim time, is this what will be enforced?
No, it would be dependent on what the amendment was that council made. My recommendation, until the zoning goes in, is just to remove poultry from the animal control, actually give a definition of poultry in the animal control bylaw to include geese, ducks, turkeys, and one more, and roosters, but allow up to 6 urban hens. Then that will give us the period of time that we need to adopt the zoning bylaw. So it wouldn't be a huge change to the animal control bylaw. It would just allow some flexibility.
And that would give you the bite height that you need to deal with the complaint?
No, to deal with the complaint, would be me enforcing the animal control bylaw and telling them to get rid of their chickens.
So I do have a question though. What if we amend this today?
Yeah.
And then the zoning bylaw, the new zoning bylaw goes to public consultation. And the public says, no, we really are against urban hens, the majority, if that's what council hears. So what happens at that point then?
Then they become legal non-conforming, so that's a decision that council has to make at this point.
Which means that they get to keep them the way that they are, and then once they all die,
Yeah,
or they get rid of them, they don't get to bring them back.
correct.
So in some respects, it would be worse because they have more than what you have from the urban chicken as a suggestion, right? It would be worse because it's more than what is stated here in this suggestion taken from the draft zoning bylaw.
Correct.
Councillor Cole?
Thank you, Mayor Wickstrom. Yeah, that definitely puts us in a conundrum. What about notifying all of the existing people we know about that have chickens, that they need to remove them by January 1st? And then if we pass the chicken bylaw, then obviously they conform to the new bylaw. If we decide to not do it, then they've been notified and then they wouldn't be grandfathered in. Would that work? I guess a question for our CAO through the chair.
CEO?
Yes, I think that would be an acceptable solution.
Except that doesn't, could we do that with a limit on the chickens?
Then we're getting into bylaw area. I mean, I can take direction from council on, the length of the sort of the leniency on the bylaw, but we're still enforcing it.
Go ahead.
Counselor, to the CAO, the complaint before us is really not so much about the chickens, but it's about events happening on adjacent property which are impeding the use of the property owner next to it. If they're not already within our bylaws, the nuisance bylaws, means to address that.
Yes, absolutely, and I have spoken to the subjects about that, and I am working on that respect, but the nuisance aspect of it.
So that is being addressed currently.
That part is being addressed.
The issue that we're struggling with right now is that currently their chickens are not allowed.
Correct.
And I'm going to ask the question, if we just left it as is and did not make a decision today,
That would not be responding very well to the people complaining.
sorry, I just need to ask, because
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody else would be thinking that as well.
But if you're working, sorry, that's okay, if you're working through the nuisance bylaw and you exhaust that and you don't have a solution, might by then, like, this already be in or out?
Well, no, because immediately, like this is all just last week. Immediately, I'm at a point where I've done an initial letter, stating that they're not allowed to have poultry on the property. They didn't adhere to the bylaw enforcement letter. I went and did a in-person follow-up, saying you still can't have chickens. However, council is considering it. Before I make you take away your chickens, I'm bringing this before council, which is today. So if no decision's made, I'm going to have bylaw enforcement. So I'll have to carry forward with in response to the complainants, because we do have a bylaw in place that doesn't allow for poultry.
So if the decision is to do nothing today, then the chickens leave and
Correct.
they may or may not be able to bring chickens back.
Correct.
It changes. Counselor Mitchell?
I would like to make a motion that we instruct the bylaw enforcement officer to send a letter stating that chickens must be removed by January 30th, for lack of a better date. And
Seconder for that motion? Okay, Counselor Cole. I do have a question on pertaining to that particular motion. So the people currently where the complaint is against have more than the allowed. So if this bylaw went through and we've said that there's an extension till January 30th, and then this bylaw goes through the zoning, and they have too many, then you just tell them to remove the other 6. Is that how it goes?
Correct.
Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Downey.
How will this address the complaint that's before council right now? How will this remedy that?
Through the nuisance bylaw?
Yes, I can continue to enforce the nuisance bylaw.
What I'm struggling with is, I believe that the number is contributing to the waste. And so, you know, what you're saying, like, so we have we can't say up to 6 chickens until January 31st.
No, because our bylaw says no chickens. So the direction I'm getting from council with this motion is enforce the bylaw with a date in place. So I'm still doing the job as the bylaw enforcement and enforcing the bylaw. If I say that you can have 1 chicken, 12 chickens, 6 chickens, then as the bylaw enforcement officer, I've just contravened our own bylaw by saying you're allowed to have.
So then any other complaints that you get would get the same treatment, that chickens
Correct.
need to be gone
Correct.
by whatever the date is.
Correct.
Excuse my ignorance, but I'm trying to understand how that isn't, like, saying you can have them to the 31st isn't contravening the bylaw.
We with all bylaws, we look for voluntary compliance. So there is always a set amount of time that we can put to something. Typically, it's about 15 days for compliance. So we can extend that amount of time.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, we'll go to item 7B, Island Health request for community support on COVID-19 public health orders. Food for discussion? Seconded by, okay. So what we have before you is, I believe it's our health officer, Eric Bergson, will be enforcing the orders and is looking for our support if somebody is not in compliance. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the page here. I have a mouse going. So yeah, our local health order officer has been designated to enforce it, and the town has had a request to consider suspending business licenses for businesses refusing to comply with orders. So they're looking for us to work together with Island Health on this issue. I don't believe that this is anything arising currently. I think Most of our businesses are in compliance. It's just something that he's come to us asking for support.
Who has?
Eric Bergsma.
Eric Berg.
So if we're looking for a motion to say that on a case-by-case basis, we will support
The health officer.
the health officer's request. Well, then I'll make that motion.
So it's at the bottom then that council supports the efforts of local health officers in enforcement of public health orders by reviewing the suspension of business license on a case-by-case basis upon the recommendation of the health officer. That's written on the bottom of the report. Seconder for that motion? Go ahead. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Okay, we're going then to item item 10A, new business fireworks. I'll turn that over to Councillor Barron.
The fire department would like to go ahead with the fireworks at the end of the month. CAO Smith, Nelson Smith sent me the regulations for outdoor events, for lack of a better word. I believe we can meet them. Plan would be not to have a bonfire, and plan would be, I believe, not to have food, because once you have food, there's a bunch of other regulations that goes in. There is something there about bringing chairs, like it's being seated. I really would hope that we can make that work. It seems lately more people are parking their cars and it doesn't seem to be the big group that it used to be 20 years ago. So providing we can adhere to the outdoor and get the funds together through fundraising, then what I'm going to ask is that we can make a motion that whatever gap there is in the fundraising, between fundraising and the cost of the show, that we will find that within the budget to pay for that this year. And what's that dollar figure this year? The show will be about $7,000, and there's about $800 for shipping, providing they can get booked on the barge to get the explosives over from Vancouver. I've already had a few businesses that have come forward and said that they will contribute. So I really think that it won't be the full $7,000. You're making that a motion, I'll second it. Thank you.
Any discussion on that? Go ahead, Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Mayor Wickstrom. Would the appropriate way to approach this would be to get the volunteer fire department to do an actual grant made request, and we would still have time before Halloween to pass that, and then we would know the budget implications of how much grant aid we have left and exactly how much they're asking for. I'm totally for the fireworks and let's do it, but I'm just a little nervous without a dollar figure attached to it, and this is the committee of the whole meeting anyway, so it would need to be ratified
At the
at
next
a proper council. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Councillor Downing.
I'm quite happy to move forward on this and not have the department submit a grant and aid request, because I'm confident, based on the history of this community, that these fireworks will be funded from outside our department. From outside our funding thoughts.
And I just wanted to add as well, like for the last 2 years, we've not had OrcaFest, and we generally give $6,000 to OrcaFest. I feel that this, I don't think it would be that high a number, but I feel that the community is starved for things to do, and I know it would be a huge disappointment if it wasn't supported. CAO?
Just a point, our fire department is actually part of the town of Port McNeill. Asking them to apply for grant aid would be like our public works department asking for grant aid.
All right, thank you.
The other thing I'd just like to throw out there is that volunteers took time away from their lives to go and take a truck up to Kelowna or wherever, Kamloops, wherever it was, and to go down to Wasp with the snorkel hit. There are funds coming from that. So, I mean, it's all one big pot, I guess, but they have generated, essentially they've generated revenue this year. But I agree with Councillor Downey. I really think that the community will step in and pop up. And you do have a maximum amount. I just gave it to you, $7,000 plus $7,800 would be the maximum amount. Go ahead, Councillor Mitchell.
I move that we approve up to $6,000 toward the fireworks.
We already have a motion on the floor that hasn't been voted on.
Oh, what was the motion that's on the floor?
Well, the motion first is to support it, and there was not a dollar amount attached, so we can do that secondary.
Okay, I'll make that as an amendment to that motion then, that we make it $6,000.
I don't want to friendly amendment. I want support first, and then we can do the money afterwards.
Did you hear that? So we'll do the, Councillor Barron would like us to support it first and do the money motion afterwards. Councillor.
Actually, amendments are
I
perfectly in order, and I'm allowed to make.
The amendment, thank you. Yeah.
I beg your pardon. I'm sorry I missed that.
Sorry, we'll just go on. Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Cole.
We seem to have gotten away with not posting the motions in print, as you know, I mean, it is in our procedure bylaw. We were doing it quite often, and the last few meetings we haven't been.
Okay, so the last one
it also-
wasn't typed because it is in our agenda, but we can get this one typed out for you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It's
Motion?
it's good to
Just one
see.
moment.
You want me to come and do that, Mark?
So I think I can share the screen and type this out. No.
How about typing it in the chat box for now? Okay. Yeah, so it'll be typed in the chat box.
Thank you.
So to support, Farmingdale Fire Department holding fireworks on Halloween.
And you did originally say what the difference.
Yeah, I did. Here, that's an issue.
Donna's just typing it out. It'll be in the chat box momentarily.
Can you read it out loud, Connor?
Your worship, to support the Port McNeill Fire Department holding the fireworks this Halloween.
All those in favor of that motion? Opposed? Carried. Okay, Councillor Mitchell, you wanted to make a motion?
To make that a grant of, or to spend $6,000 for those fireworks.
I think your original was up to $6,000.
Sure.
Can you type that out as well into the chat box, please? To financially, yes, up to $6,000. Okay, any discussion on that motion?
Is there a second?
Oh, sorry, was there a seconder? Sorry, first of all, for that motion. Apologies, I should have it. Okay. Any discussion on that motion?
I will.
Okay, Councillor Cole? Oh, sorry, you were seconding. Did you
I was
also have a
seconding.
comment? No, okay. All right, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Is that opposed?
I'm opposed because I don't like the dollar amount. All right, so there are two recommendations from this committee of the whole, and that is to support the fire department holding the fireworks this Halloween and to approve the funding for $6,000 That's to come out to the special meeting. Can I have a motion for that, please? Moved, seconded. All those in favor?
I,
Carried. Was there anything else that we, oh, sorry, there is one thing else. I need this written down and reminded when we go into the special meeting. Also, do we have to take it out, the decision? We
No,
don't,
this isn't an in-camera, so we just make recommendations to council. And then those recommendations are automatically brought forward to the next council meeting.
oh, the next regular council meeting. It doesn't have to go to this, okay.
No, I mean, this is a regularly, this is a properly convened, the special meeting will be a properly convened meeting. We can make decisions.
Yes, so what I'm saying is, does any of the other two items need to come out as well and go into the special meeting?
They already are. You don't need to vote on it. They just, they're recommendations that.
Oh, I see, we don't have to,
Yeah.
okay. So what I'm saying is, when I go into the special meeting, I have to say this. What do I need to, I need to mention the fireworks, I need to mention the dollar amount. What else do I mention? The chicken?
Yep, the chicken and the support of Island Town.
Okay, so when we get to that, I'm going to defer to you because you have it written down,
Yep.
please. Okay, thank you very much. All right, are there any questions from the public? Go ahead. Also, for those who can't see, we have Mr. Kuhart with us, and he's going to be asking a question. I can make sure that you speak nice and loud so they can hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You wanted to stand up by the pole.
Yeah,
so
if
everyone can
if
sort of
you
see
look,
and hear now.
there we go. Now you're on camera. There.
Well, thanks for letting me be here. I don't want to be here. The chicken issue. I grew up on a farm. Better part of my life was on a farm. My dad still owns a farm. The chickens, if they're kept perfectly clean, is no problem. That is a fallacy if you think that's going to happen. It's like walking your dog every day. The chicken poop when they're outside. When it's hot out, they go underneath the pen and they poop and they poop and they poop for weeks and months. And the heat from underneath the chicken coop gets all moist, and that goes right into all of the neighborhood. When it rains, it floods up and it washes wherever it's going to wash out, whether it be on back onto his property and make the chicken poop smell, or onto the other guy's property. I'm not against the chicken eggs, my God, who doesn't want fresh chicken eggs? But to have the chickens in town and smelling, and there's no way to get around chicken smell. There's no magic pill. I grew up on a farm. I still am involved in a farm. You can't mask the chicken smell. It just stinks. And I hate being that neighbor. But it smells. And the chickens right now by my house are within 6 inches. That's no exaggeration. 6 inches away from my door. I don't know how you're going to address that. And if we're going to have 6, is it going to be 6 per lot? So if a guy owns a double lot, he's allowed to have 12. And if he's allowed to have 12 on the one lot, excluding the one he's on, or is he allowed to have 6 on this lot and 6 on that lot? And do these lots have to be connected? Because if a guy owns 6 lots in town, can he have 24, 30, 40 chickens on this lot because he owns 4 or 5 other lots in town? They've got to be connected. And how far away are they going to be? And if you're going to be indoor chickens, then you have an opportunity to clean the poop out. But that's going to create them walking down and throwing onto the town property, just like we do with our grass. So there's going to be stacks of chicken poop on the town property, or the neighbor that's not there developed. I don't know the perfect solution. All I know is that in the summertime when it's hot out, it stinks, and it's terrible stink. It's a terrible stink, and the more they are, the longer they're there, the more it's going to affect it. Again, I grew up on a farm. We had chicken. We had to dig it out all the way down to below ground level and fertilize the rest of the field, bring in more dirt, and after 3 or 4 years, it's this thick. The oil from the chicken poop is coming onto the ground and slicking the whole ground like an oil slick. Again, I hate being this guy, but if it passes, I live in this town, I abide by all the rules. If it passes, it passes, but I sure would hate to be the neighbor. And you're creating neighborly fights over this. It's so easy to say on Facebook, oh, I love chickens. I love chickens. I like fresh eggs. I buy fresh eggs from people on farm. But if you're in town and everybody decides to get chickens, you're gonna have 1,000 chickens in town. There's gonna be create a problem that, I don't know, it's not like having an RV where it might be an eyesore. These chickens stink every single day. And,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that's okay. That, you brought up some really good points for us to consider. The multiple lots, so on and so forth. So I know that you've been part of the OCP process. I encourage you to continue to be, and certainly when the zoning bylaw, the new zoning bylaw comes forward, please be a part of the public process. And you can either do that through written or common verbal, and it will be documented. But you've certainly given us some things to consider. So thank you very much for coming forward today and raising your concerns.
All
You've
right.
done it very respectfully, and I thank you for that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, motion to adjourn. Seconded, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll go now into the special meeting. Which will follow within camera and then afterwards to the public, so there's.
You're dismissed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I'll come looking for donations. I do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about swearing.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
And where on this agenda, before I call it, where is it going to be that they bring up from the people of the whole?
Under new business, adoption of recommendations made.
Oh, right there. All right, call the meeting to order. Are we being recorded? No, we're done?
No, it said.
Oh, are we still, okay.
We are
sorry.
still recording,
Yep,
yes,
so
Merrick.
be aware for this brief meeting before we go into camera, that if you're attending this meeting, it's being recorded for future viewing. And again, we are privileged together on the traditional territory of the Kwakwaka'wakw. So I'll call the meeting to order and ask for a motion to, well, are there any amendments to the agenda? And seeing none, a motion to adopt the agenda, please. So moved. Seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, we're zipping right down to 10A, adoption of the recommendations made from the October 5th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting, which are as follows, please, CAO.
So the first one is a recommendation to send a letter to people with chickens stating that their chickens must be removed by January 30th, 2022.
And then we can do them as a block. So what's the
Okay.
next step?
And then the next one is recommendation that council support the efforts of the local health officers in enforcement of public health orders by reviewing the suspension of business licenses on a case-by-case basis upon the recommendation of the health officer. And then I'll get to Connor to read out the last two. I can't quite read them from here.
To support the Port McNeill Fire Department holding the fireworks this Halloween, to approve funding for the fire department fireworks up to $6,000.
Okay, so a motion please to adopt those recommendations. So moved, seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. No items from in camera to be made public. I'm just gonna, nobody has this link, so we can just continue on this link.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, there's nobody in the audience, is there?
Oh, well, no, we're still recording. Okay, so can I have a motion, please, that council go on camera under Community Charter Section 91D, the security of property of the municipality.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried.